Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for the Study in Ireland webinar, rather. We'll just give attendees a few more minutes to join us. We'll get started in a couple of minutes. Thank you. Anam, any news for Eleni?
I have just emailed her. I'm just hoping she'll be joining soon.
I am just going to call up her colleague and just find out. Okay, so if you guys want to proceed, you all can. I'll just find out.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon for the Study in Ireland webinar. I'm Namita Mehta from the Red Pen. I think I'm just going to wait for a couple more minutes as I can see the number of attendees joining on. We have a bunch of attendees on our YouTube channel as well, so that's exciting. We have with us this afternoon a fantastic group of universities from Ireland, and we're going to be speaking about studying STEM degrees in Ireland for the first part of this webinar, and then move on to studying non-STEM degrees later on. So if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A. The format of the webinar is going to be like this. We have some pre-set questions for our panelists, and I will walk you through them, and I'm sure many of your answers will get many of your questions will get answered in this process. It's about the application process, student life in Ireland, scholarship opportunities, all the things that prospective students want to know. But of course, if you have specific questions, put them in the Q&A and I will certainly get to them. And you are welcome to address your questions to any of our panelists, me or Anam Hamid from Education in Ireland as well. So thank you for joining us and looking forward to the next 1 hour learning about education in Ireland and specifically students wanting to study STEM subjects. So thank you very much. Just give us a minute more and then we will get started. Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this afternoon. We're in India this afternoon, and it's morning in Europe. Thank you very much for being here with us. Let's get started. My name is Namita Mehta, and I'm the president of the Red Pen, which is an independent education consulting firm. Let me quickly introduce myself. The Red Pen is an independent, like I said, an independent education consulting firm. We work with students and families one-on-one to help you find the best fit education for your child at all levels of the educational ladder, whether you're looking for day or boarding schools, undergrad institutions, postgrad institutions, or if you're looking to do an MBA as well. Here are some data points about our company. A couple of things that I'd like to add is that we are part of global organizations like AGAC and IECA and NACAC, which means that we uphold certain ethical standards when we look at college counseling. I have been in the education space for over 12 years myself. I started my career out at an IB school in Mumbai called the B.D. Samani International School, and have been working in that space in education college counseling ever since. So welcome to the webinar. This afternoon, we're going to be speaking about studying in Ireland. The first part of the webinar is going to be focused on studying STEM subjects at the undergraduate level. And the second part will be then focused on non-STEM subjects with another group of panelists, so do stay on. There's a lot for you this afternoon. The format is going to be as follows. I have some questions for our panelists. They'll be introducing themselves in a moment. But if you have any specific questions for any of our panelists, please put it in the Q&A and we will certainly get to it. Today is about you, getting all your questions answered, understanding more about the opportunities in Ireland, and getting your questions answered. So please do put all your questions in the chat, and we'll get started. Anna, why don't you take an opportunity to introduce yourself and Education in Ireland?
Sure, thanks, Namita. So I represent Education Ireland. We are responsible for promoting Ireland as a study destination to students in India and around South Asia. We are the education arm of Enterprise Ireland under the Government of Ireland. I'd just like to mention this initiative for a UG event is something we've been working on for a while, because Ireland has some amazing undergraduate programs and we wanted to create some more awareness around them. So we are very pleased to partner with the Red Pen for helping us execute this plan. So I hope you get some useful tips and information from the webinars today and find an undergraduate program to your interest. And if you'd like to take the conversation forward, the annual Education in Ireland virtual showcase is also taking place on the 23rd of October. And, we have about 20 of Ireland's higher education institutions participating. And that's it from me. Namita, over to you.
Thank you so much for that. It's a pleasure working with you, Anna, and Education in Ireland. It's been such a smooth process, and thank you so much. I'd now like to take an opportunity for my panelists to introduce themselves. Let's start with NASA, and then move on to Mr. Ramanpreet, and then Dr. Andrew, please.
Hi, Namita. Thanks very much for having us here today. Really appreciate it, and for your work, the Red Pen and Education in Ireland, in organising this. So really excited to get a chance to showcase what Ireland has to offer as a study destination. My name is Nasa O'Connor and I represent University College Cork. University College Cork is based in Cork City in south of Ireland. We're the second largest city here in Ireland. And the university was established in 1845. And we have a whole range of degree programs, over 130 degree programs. So we have colleges like business and law, medicine and health, arts and social sciences, and I actually represent the College of Science, Engineering and Food Science here today. So I'll be able to talk to you about all things STEM. And as Namita said, please use your time as best as you can. This is a great opportunity to ask the questions that you really want to know. I know we're covering a lot of the general information, but please do ask what you need to know as well in the chat. Okay, thanks, Namita.
Thank you so much, Nasa. Can we move on to Ramanpreet, please?
Hi, my name is Ramanpreet. I am the country advisor for Limerick Institute of Technology. We have now become a technological university of Shannon from yesterday. From 1st of October, we are officially now a university. I request everyone to ask any type of question related to how it will be beneficial for the universities studying in a university, and how it is beneficial for every single student out there at the undergraduate degrees level. I basically take care for the admissions from India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bangladesh. Thank you. Over to you, Namita.
Thank you so much, Ramanpreet. Dr. Andrew Klaus, please.
Thanks very much, and welcome. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Andrew Flaws, and I'm, as you can see, the Vice Dean for Internationalization in the College of Science and Engineering. And that means that my job is to coordinate all types of international activities. But actually, maybe more interesting for you is I'm also a lecturer in biotechnology and biochemistry at the university. So our university is in the west of Ireland, so actually quite near to Cork and to Limerick as well. And we're a large university, 175 years old, and we pride ourselves in being quite research-led as well. So we have quite a large science and engineering and computer science IT departments in our university. And the other thing that's distinctive about Galway is that we're very friendly and welcoming here as well. So it's a small city where people are enjoy getting to know each other. And we're finally at the heart of Irish culture. So therefore, it's quite a unique experience to come and live in Galway, to study in Galway. So back to you, Namita.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for that introduction. Okay, let's move on to the questions. We are expecting one more panelist to join us, so hopefully Elena will, but until then, we can certainly get started. Let's start with the application process, because I think that's always at the forefront. You have a goal, but you need to apply, you need to get in. So Nasa, may I just ask you, can you talk a little bit about the application process to universities in Ireland?
Yeah, Namita, no problem. So I suppose this is the real kind of bread and butter, I suppose, of what we need to know. The real practicalities, this question, and really covers it off. And I will speak for the rest of the universities. Generally, across the board, all the application process for these universities are very straightforward. We are working very hard to make it as easy as possible for you to navigate. Okay. So basically, our application process opens on the 1st of December. In our university in UCC, you're allowed to apply for 2 programs, okay? So you get an option to apply for 2 programs. We also accept transfer applications, okay? The application procedure is slightly different for anyone interested in medicine and dentistry, but I know today we're kind of more focused on the STEM field. We need a range of supporting documents, and I'm sure this is very similar for the other universities as well. So it's, a birth certificate, passport photo, your transcripts, an IELTS or TOEFL, depending on, for English language. We also need a 500-word statement. And I know the personal statement can intimidate people quite a bit, and they get quite worried about the content of that. If you're ever worried about the content of that, any of the university representatives will be able to give you a bit of extra guidance. Okay, it's just important to do research about the university that you're interested in. Also, then it's academic references, and there's an application fee as well. Okay, so there's step-by-step guides available online for our university, and I'm sure it's the same for Galway and Limerick as well. Okay, it stays open till June. Okay, but I suppose for very popular and high demand programs, I would be flagging that if you are applying quite late, you might be running the risk, of kind of not being able to have that opportunity to get the offer. What's great about our application process is it's first come, first served. So when you apply, you get first come, first served. So that's why I'm saying it's better an opportunity to have your documents ready if you're interested in something and get your application early. We accept IB, A levels, and of course, Indian high school boards. And we have different kind of sets of programs, okay, by academic requirements. I don't want to get into the gritty of that because we could be here all morning, but they're usually set out for an IB score ranging from 28 right up to 36. So for your boards, if you're looking at it from that, it's about 75% right up to the 90%. Okay, so that's just to give you a quick kind of overview there. But again, they're all very straightforward, and there's step-by-step guides available online. Okay, thanks, Namita.
Thank you so much for that, Nasa. That just gives us an overview of how to apply. So Ramanpreet, I have a question for you. Typically when students look at universities in the UK, they have to be very sure what they want to study, and there's really little scope to change. So is that the same case with universities in Ireland? Do students only have to, do they have to only apply to one subject in one course and have one major? And is there any flexibility to change that during the course of your undergraduate studies?
So usually universities in Ireland, and we are too, we offer the student to choose the options. They can choose 3 or 4, max 4 options to apply for. So let's say their first primary choice, their application for that particular subject get refused. So we also consider the application for the other choices the student have. And if a student has already received an offer letter from one particular course, and other application for the other particular course is also got approved. So we ask the student for which course the student would like to go with, and the other offers gets none. So, and yes, once the students join, they also have this offer that if they wanted to change their majors with us, they can request the course director, and the applications, they again need to present their application over there only in front of the course director of the other course. And if they approve it, then yes, they can change their majors for their subjects.
Perfect, Ramanpreet. Thank you. So there is a little bit of flexibility. So over to you, Dr. Andrew. How does a student stand out in this process? What can you do?
Yeah, so I thought it was really interesting to hear what Nasa said there. Definitely, I think students become quite concerned about these personal statements, but actually the universities don't take so much notice of them. It's not to say that it's not good to be able to explain why you're excited by coming to our university, but actually more important is to have the qualifications, the prerequisites for what we're looking for, and to make those documents available. So I mean, we realize when you're an undergraduate student that you're excited by the subject. And so everybody who's applying to, let's say, my biotechnology degree or an IT degree must be excited by that topic. And so I think it's quite challenging to make yourself look different. I think show your enthusiasm in that document, but worry more about the fact that you satisfy the requirements for the degree first, because I think we have a lot more challenges with people with incomplete documentation, for example, and downplay a little bit this personal statement stress. I think that would be important, because we would like enthusiastic students to come to our university, and I'm sure that however you express it, we trust that you're enthusiastic.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Andrew. I'm going to move on to a little bit about, cost of education, because that is important. What is the average cost of doing a STEM undergraduate degree in Ireland? And do you offer any scholarships or financial aid for international students? Nasa, can I ask you that, please?
Yeah, no problem, Namisha. So basically it's for our fees across the STEM field, they range around the kind of 23,000 per year. We do have international undergraduate scholarship. It is merit-based, so it is up to 25% off tuition fees. Not just off first year, it's off each year tuition fees. So it is actually quite strong, the scholarship as well. Okay, and look, any particular questions about that, it's an automatic scholarship. So essentially you apply, you submit your transcripts, and as Andrew said, the biggest thing about having incomplete transcripts does cause issues. So making sure everything is completed, and then it's an automatically applied to your offer if you're successful in getting an offer. So it's not something that you have to apply in separately. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Nasa, I'm going to continue with you. What are the most popular courses that Indian students apply to, and do you have a quota system? Is there like a limit on the number of international students that you take? And have you seen a correlation between the number of certain courses and majors give students an opportunity, like much higher chance for them getting a job?
Yeah. So look, I suppose we're quite privileged in Ireland, no matter what university you choose. The industries in the STEM field are booming here in Ireland. Okay, so it's a wonderful, I suppose, area to be interested in. Traditionally, I suppose we've seen a lot of interest in our computer science degree and our data science degree, which are both 4 years in length. Okay, Ireland would be known as the Silicon Valley of Europe. So there's a huge amount of technology companies. So we have 9 of the top 10 technology companies are actually based here in Ireland, and the top 4 software companies are based here in Ireland. There's a huge amount of job opportunities there as well. But things are changing a little bit with regards to what is becoming the most popular program, because there's a lot more awareness of the businesses and the industry that's alive here in Ireland. For example, the life sciences. So let's say, particularly Andrew's field, biochemistry and biotechnology, that area is booming in Ireland, okay? The biopharmaceutical and biotechnology company is really alive. So let's say, for example, here in Cork, we had a real life sciences hub. So you have the likes of Pfizer, which students or parents would have heard of in the news. On our doorstep, Eli Lilly, Johnson & Johnson, Takeda. So all these companies are right here on the doorstep. There's a huge life sciences hub in Cork and around Galway and Limerick as well. Okay, so now there's a bit of a movement where actually the other programs that are becoming more popular are biological and chemical sciences in our university, but also chemical sciences and genetics, because there's that move away to realize that actually there's all this industry here as well in that area. It's not just IT, okay? So that also means that engineering, no matter what, is always popular, because the pharma companies, the bio companies, the IT and tech companies, they all need engineers as well. So there's a huge amount of options there. With regards to quotas, I wouldn't let anyone worry about quotas or capacities at all, as I said, because it is first come, first served. So if you are going to apply very late, you could run into issues. But if you're organized, you have your details ready and you get your application in, or you ask your questions in advance, there shouldn't be any issue if you're meeting the requirements, as it is first come, first served. So I just kind of trying to alert people to not worry about that so much.
Thank you so much for that, Nasa. Okay, we're going to move on to you, Dr. Andrew. So for STEM subjects, research is such a huge component of learning and growing in this space. So what kind of opportunities do Irish universities give to students in STEM fields in terms of research? Is it integrated into the degree? Do they have the opportunity to do this outside of the curriculum? And what about if students wanted to pursue research in the summer?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I'd say, just to echo first what Nasa said there, that Ireland is the base for many of the largest IT companies in Europe. And so Google, Facebook, Apple, their European bases are in Ireland. And likewise, I think it is now about the 6th largest biopharmaceutical production country in the whole of the world. And if you think about Ireland is smaller than probably most Indian states, and yet we're producing very large amounts of biopharmaceuticals. So what this means is that there are lots of opportunities, and these companies need employees. And to have employees, they need people who have real practical understanding of science and technology. And so this is exactly where your question comes in, Namita, that we need our students to get this experience. So quite a lot of programs. So for example, in engineering and in computer science IT, the degrees have an integrated placement with them. So this is practical opportunities. So in that case, in these sorts of vocational degrees, you could say like engineering and computer science, it's what the companies want, what people need for their careers is practical experience, maybe more than research. Now, of course, I'm a scientist, a biochemist, and biotechnologist. So I also believe that all of this understanding, it builds upon us knowing things and knowing how to find out new things. So in the science degrees, it's more, as you asked, about research. And so all 4-year degrees in Ireland, whether they're in Cork or in Limerick or Dublin or Galway, they all have an integrated research project component in them in the final year. So this is a sort of a requirement of the Irish government's qualification system. So therefore, every student in UCC with NASA or in I should say Technical University of the Shannon, because they're a brand new university just from yesterday, they will have research components in their science degrees. Okay. With respect to summer research, that's possible. There are summer studentship scholarship opportunities as well. So, for example, the Health Research Board or the Irish government funding organisations, they fund summer studentship opportunities as well. I have to admit that there's sort of a very elite opportunity, but nevertheless, I'm sure there are people on our call here who would be excited to be some of the best students and get those sorts of opportunities as well.
Thank you so much, Andrew, and welcome, Eleni. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope I pronounced your name right. May I just ask you to quickly introduce yourself, and then I'll address the next question to you.
Sure, yeah. Good morning, everyone from Ireland, Dublin. I am Professor Eleni Magina. I'm a professor in School of Computer Science, but today here I'm wearing the hat of the VP Global for College of Science. And thank you for the invitation, and I'm ready to answer any questions you have.
Thank you so much, Dr. Elena. So the question I have a question for you. We've actually moved on from the application process. Does your university offer any exchange programs with other universities within Ireland and outside of Ireland?
Yes, absolutely. Hundreds of students in UCD take part in a semester or a year abroad as part of their studies. UCD has 400 university exchange partners in more than 50 countries around the globe, and these provide a wide range of opportunities for our students to experience studying both in Europe and internationally.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Professor Eleni. Ramanpreet, let's move on to a little bit more about student life. Are students allowed to work while they're students as undergraduate students at university?
Yes, the students are always allowed to work there as a part-time. They are allowed 20 hours a week while they are studying with us. And they do get the jobs quite easily nowadays. And we have a career cell department with us, which those students who are not getting the part-time jobs, they can also contact the career cell department, and they can also help them. Most of the time we have seen that the students are getting any type of part-time jobs nearby the campus or inside the campuses, sometimes in libraries, sometimes somewhere in the administrative offices or in the international offices, to help the international staffs and the university staffs too. So yes, they get the jobs over there and they have time. They can also work.
And Ramanpreet, are they allowed to work in the holidays as well?
Yes, they can.
Perfect. I'm going to move it on to Dr. Andrew. What happens for international students after they've completed their degree? How long can they stay in Ireland? Does the visa permit them to continue working? If you could just share some information about that.
Yeah, so Ireland actually has, for quite a few years now, had a very open policy with visas because, as I was saying, we have this very growing, very vibrant industry sector. And so we actually want people to come to Ireland to help us to succeed internationally with our commerce, with our business. And so for undergraduate students, when they graduate, they have an automatic right to a one-year visa in Ireland to work. So they can work for 1 year. For postgraduate students, that's master's students or PhD students, then they have a right to a 2-year visa. So actually one of my, I have an Indian PhD student that I co-supervise, who's just finishing at the moment, and he wants me to be correcting his thesis because he's going off to a job and the people want him to start as soon as possible. So he needs to submit his thesis to be able to graduate so he can go off and work over in the other side of Ireland as well. So that shows you maybe the opportunities that we have in Ireland here at all different levels, from undergraduate to postgraduate level. But yeah, there are lots of opportunities to get jobs, and you have this right to get your foot in the door. You don't have to worry about getting a job with a visa. You automatically have this 1-year right as an undergraduate once you graduate with your bachelor's in science, bachelor's in engineering.
Thank you for that, Dr. Andrew. Let's move on to campus life and student life. So I'm going to move on to Nasa. Can you talk a little bit about like the student community and extracurricular activities outside the classroom, so that our attendees get a flavor of studying in an Irish university?
Yeah, no problem. So I suppose I studied in UCC myself, and then I actually was an international student for a year abroad in the US. So I do understand coming as an international student to, I suppose, a different environment and a different culture, how important student experience is. And UCC was voted #1 2 years in a row for student experience, but all our universities have amazing clubs and societies that students can really get involved in and belong to a community in as well, which is very important when, I suppose, you're intimidated maybe initially and it's all a new environment. So I feel like, you know, when you're getting on really well in a community or getting involved and feeling kind of supported, academics, then your academic side really excels as well, okay? Because you're more comfortable and you're more relaxed. So look, we have, I think it's 108 societies. I don't know, am I quoting the correct figure, but there's 108 societies. If you're all about STEM, there's loads of different STEM societies. So there's the YSTEM Women in STEM Society, Engineering Society, there's the Environmental Society and the Green Campus. So UCC is all about kind of the Green Campus. We're the first university globally to be awarded a green flag. So a lot of people really get involved there. They've actually launched a new podcast. But then there's the more fun societies, so like Debating Society. There's obviously a wonderful Indian society as well, so you can feel involved in your community. And there's even the Harry Potter Society. So there's all sorts of bits you can get involved in. And a new one actually, which I saw the other day, because always new societies been established, is the Scribble Society. So it's people across the board who are interested in doodling and scribbling, and all different students and stuff like that. So there's obviously the society, and then there's the sports clubs. So the sports clubs is, I think there's over 50 different sports clubs. So trampolining, badminton, squash. Here in UCC, we have amazing facilities. So we have a big Mardyke Sports Centre, which is right down by the river. I'm big into swimming myself, so I get to go and swim there every day as a staff member. So there's like gyms, big massive rock climbing wall. So there's running tracks. And look, we had actually great news this summer because we had 5 different Olympians and a Paralympian with medals. So we'd 2 of the guys taking the gold for a previous student and alumni for rowing. So look, there's so much opportunities. You obviously don't have to be an Olympian to join any of the sports clubs. You can be just interested from a more social point of view. So look, I think it's a great country to come to. We're incredibly welcoming. All the universities are, okay? And there's a lot of different community. The biggest advice I can give to any student is no matter what university you choose, get involved with clubs and societies from the start. You'll have a different community outside your main classroom, and you can build a whole other different network of support as well for yourself, okay? Thanks, Namita.
Thank you so much, Nessa. And I also assume that if there's a society that doesn't exist on campus and you're interested in it, you can surely start it off yourself, right? I mean, I'm sure there's opportunity for you to bring
exactly
something to the university.
You can end up giving me another one from my list there.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think I have to. I'm sure there's enough prospective students on this list who already have budding ideas. So, that's what's really exciting about these international universities, that this diversity, like students coming and bringing their experiences to campus, is what's going to lead to the learning and the social life outside of the classroom as well. And I think most universities are very welcoming and allow you to set up societies, if you have a certain number of students interested in that particular activity. So that's always good to know.
I think that's a really important point, is that we want international students to come to Ireland to teach us about the international world, to teach our students about the diversity of activities. And so this is why, for example, the Indian Society in our campus, and I'm sure it's the same in all of the other campuses, organize Diwali celebrations, for example. So this gives a great opportunity for everyone else to learn about India. And likewise, we had the celebration just a month or so ago for the Indian Independence Day. So the ambassador of India to Ireland came to our campus, and we had a ceremony in the quadrangle in the old building that you can see behind me here to celebrate the interactions between India and Ireland on our campus as well. So
I think that's
what
wonderful.
you can see is
in
that
fact, sometimes I think international
we want
students
people to
celebrate
come to
Indian
us
festivals more outside of
and
India
to bring
than they do
their
in India.
enthusiasm.
So yeah, maybe I was paused for a second. Can you hear me?
Yes.
No, I just said, sometimes I think international students celebrate Indian festivals more internationally than they do when they're in India. So it's always very, lovely to hear these stories. And I remember when I was a student in the UK, the Diwali parties on campus were so much more vibrant than the ones I had when I was at home. So
we always think Diwali must be so much fun when you go to India because it's so much fun when you're in Ireland. So it's so much more of a family thing in India versus on campus. You're with so many friends, and it's so much the excitement of dressing up, and it's very different. But thank you so much for that, Andrew. If you are a prospective Indian student going to an international university, you certainly do not need to worry about your culture being left behind, because oftentimes you bring it along and you celebrate it even more when you're away. And that's definitely speaking from experience. So don't worry about that. Let's move on to accommodation. I mean, the students often have questions about this, and Nasa, I'm going to ask you. Do you have single rooms? Are they shared? Do students have to live out in their own houses in the second and third year? Any of the other representatives, feel free to kind of continue after Nasa has spoken about UCC.
Yeah, so with the accommodation as an international student, you'll be prioritized for your first year. Okay, so what that means is basically when you apply and you get an offer, they're going to be contacted by the admissions team or international admissions team. Will contact you with a survey, and you'll kind of have an option to put in your different budgets and your different kind of, I suppose, preferences. And then from there, you're going to get an offer based on how you filled in the survey. Okay. An offer of accommodation, and we urge all students to make sure that they keep an eye out for this and actually accept this. Okay. So there's different options. I suppose our university is based within the city. Okay. So we're like, let's say about 10 minutes walk right from the city center. So our accommodation will be kind of right around the campus. So essentially it's not on the campus directly, but it's right around the campus. Okay. And it'll be based in the city center. So a lot of students, let's say, will have the option of an ensuite, or they'll have an option of like sharing with 2 other people or 3 other people. And again, it's how you fill out the survey. So really there is, I suppose, because there's a lot of accommodation, because it's in the city center, we just urge people to be very organized. So students will be prioritized for their first year, and they'll have had a chance to have a year here and get organized and understand. And then from there, they can go and apply into student accommodation, or they might choose to rent with friends directly the next year. It depends, it varies from there. And I know it's a little bit different for, I suppose, every university here anyway. On the call, the accommodation works different depending on your location.
I could actually jump in here because we're based in Dublin. So I'm sure potential applicants have heard the rumors that it's difficult, the accommodation in Dublin. In terms of the accommodation facilities in UCD residencies, we have different types of accommodation. So we would have single bedroom with options of both private and shared bathrooms, for example, where the student apartments are equipped with kitchens and fully catered packages. So depending on the budget of the students, once they have accepted their offer, then the portal is open for the accommodation office so they can select and book their accommodation. In terms of the undergraduate students, international students, they are guaranteed space and place in the accommodation on campus for at least a year. And if they don't want to stay on campus, of course, they can look around the campus in the surrounding areas for apartments or rooms that they can rent. But as Nasha mentioned, it's good to be prepared and start early your accommodation plan so you won't get disappointed. Throughout the years, all we have seen is that everybody finds a solution at the end. And there is a very nice question from one of the participants: on how does the university help international students in settling in. And it's a very good question, a valid question. We look after all our students, and I think this applies to all the universities and institutions in Ireland. Every student will have an academic advisor as well as a student advisor. And my advice is always approach. If any issue arises, it's better the moment it reaches that there is a problem or something that bothers you to reach out. Reach out and communicate. And there's always a solution to every problem.
Thank you so much for that, Professor Eleni. I think I'm so glad you addressed that, because when you're a parent and you're sending your child away so far, probably for the first time for many parents, you're so nervous. And with COVID, now students are going on their own. Their parents aren't even able to fly with them and settle them in. So I think parents are even more nervous. But I'm sure all international universities do that. But parents have very specific questions about, will someone help my child get into the dorm? And will someone help my child if they cannot get a SIM card? And, just to know that there's a support system. I think students oftentimes figure things out, and that's what university is all about.
There is a support system from the moment they land in Dublin. So there is a kiosk at the landing area at arrivals at the airport. So students will be looked after and will be transferred to campus. So just reassure the parents that the students are looked after and the kids are looked after from the moment they land.
Thank you so much, Professor Eleni. So I think I can see so many questions coming up in the chat, so let's address them. But there's one question related to the topic of accommodation. So I will ask, the panelists to please talk about the cost of accommodation. I think that's what parents are asking for. What is the approximate cost? And I assume Dublin is different from the other locations. So if everybody just wants to pipe in there, and then we can kind of go through the questions one at a time. Go ahead, Professor Eleni.
Yeah, this is a common question. The cost of living, it depends on the lifestyle of each person. We say an approximate 15,000 to 17,000 euros per year in Dublin area. And again, depends on the type of accommodation that the students will organize for themselves and the lifestyle that they're having.
Yes, we say something, maybe it's a little bit cheaper. Not that I want to get into a competition about costs of living, because we all know that living in a larger city is sometimes a bit more expensive, but it has other advantages as well. So what we guide students with is about 1,000 euros per month. And because not all students are there for the whole year. So for example, if they're going home over the summer, then they obviously don't have such high costs. In terms of accommodation, our campus accommodation system, the costs are between just over 3,000 euros per year to 5,500, so 5,500 euros per year, depending upon which tier of room you have. So obviously at 3,500 euros, there's a lot of sharing of bathrooms and shared rooms and things. Whereas if you have the higher, the more expensive accommodation option, then things are a lot more separate. The other thing about our accommodation, and I'm sure it's true of everybody's accommodation, is that we group the rooms in sort of mini apartments. So it's not like a large dormitory. You have a group with 4 or 5 rooms, and those students share usually a kitchen and a common room facility. So you're living with a small group of people. You can get to know them. They become your friends and your support network as well. I think it's important to understand how students integrate. It's not they're not like in little rooms separate from each other like little cells. It's much more integrated.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Andrew. Does anybody else want to? Roman, Preet, or NASA want to add anything about accommodation fees?
I didn't want to jump ahead there and interrupt you, Roman, Preet. So yeah, it's between about kind of, we're probably similar to NUIG, so it's similar to Dr. Andrew as well. So we'd be kind of between it depends, I suppose, if you're staying for the full 12 months or if you're staying for the term time of 9 months. So around the kind of 1,000 mark is good to budget, or I would always say just budget a little bit more so that you're not maybe worried. And then, you know, you could definitely source something for less. So between about kind of 10,000, 12,000, if you're there for the full year, would be a good idea to kind of budget that. And then obviously cost of living is completely dependent, but actually our international website, I'll pop up a link there. They do a really nice kind of idea of like food, everything like that, and breaking it down, and all our universities would give you an idea of general cost of living as well. So not just the accommodation. I think it's good to look at them together as opposed to individual costs as well.
Okay, Ramanpreet, anything to add?
I would definitely like to add something. So we basically say to every single student to be in the budgets. I totally agree with Professor Alani. It really depends on the lifestyle of the students, how they are actually spending their money on their own lifestyle, what type of accommodations they want, what type of lifestyle they want after the campus, after like outside of the campuses. They want to go out, they want to do shopping, they want to buy expensive things for them. So yes, that gets their living expenses heavier to their budget. On expenses wise, on the accommodation, so it costs in Limerick City from 4,000 to 5,500 a year, and rest of the things actually depends on the student's lifestyle.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Ramanpreet. There's a question in the chat about is there different tuition fees for someone that has an EU passport versus someone that has an international passport? Can I get Professor Eleni to address that question?
Sure, there is non-EU and EU fees in Ireland, and you can check for every institution, they give their details. The basis for calculating the non-EU or EU status for the fees comes from the admissions offices, but also it's based on the residence of address. So you have to be careful. Even if you hold an EU passport, but you're a permanent resident in India, for example, for many years, that will not give you the right. I think Wendy is here to answer this as well. She has put up your hand on this more accurately.
Yes.
So, yes.
Go ahead, Wendy.
So actually it's quite simple. I mean, you may have an EU passport. What has to be there is your parents should be paying taxes in the country of, say if it's France or Germany. They should be paying taxes for at least 3 years there to be eligible to basically be considered as an EU student. And that is the latest rule that is there.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Wendy. I think that answers that question really well. There's a really good question on, the application portals. I mean, when you're applying to universities in the UCAS, you use this portal called UCAS. How does it work in Ireland? Is there like a centralized portal, or do you have to apply to each university individually? NASA, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, no problem, Namita. So I just popped a link, and that can give an idea to students who are interested to see whether you're EU or non-EU. But again, it's all about how long you've been kind of paying taxes in a certain country, okay? Just to look after, I suppose, the centralized application procedure, essentially, it's very straightforward. You just log on to each university and you apply directly with them. There'll be slightly different application systems that are used for different universities. Ours is CRM, so it's actually quite straightforward. And again, always remember that you can apply for 2 programs as well. Okay, so I always kind of recommend that, and to do your research. And if you're interested in one program and you're not sure what may be maybe another good option for you, no matter what university you're interested in, people will be more than happy to help you and guide you, to give you advice about what might be another good option for you. Okay.
Okay, I know we addressed this, but it's come up again, and I think that it is important for our students. The prospective scholarships. So, it was answered, but if the institute, if we can just go one by one, and if you can explain, what kind of scholarships you do have for international students, and whether there's a separate application needed or you're automatically considered. So let's go in the order. Dr. Andrew, Elena, Ramanpreet, and then NASA. So let's start with Dr. Andrew.
Yes, and so a little bit like we were speaking before about this, I think each university, and so certainly our universities, have a small number of scholarships that we offer, and there's an opportunity to indicate during your application process if you would like to be considered for those scholarships, and there might be an extra letter of motivation that you have to include there, and then the decisions on scholarships will be based upon your academic achievements and also your motivation. Like we said, I think it's important maybe to say that Ireland is not especially a scholarship-driven location. We think that our degrees are competitive and exciting, and in the long term will give you value. So we realize, of course, that that scholarships are a wonderful thing to have on your CV, and also they reduce the cost. But actually, in the long term, we think our degrees are valuable, even at the price that you see, the costs that you see advertised for them. And we're very clear and very upfront about the costs of these things. So there are scholarships, but there are not large numbers of scholarships, is what I would say as a response to that question. Over to you, Namita.
Can I address just one more point on the previous question, because it's related with the scholarships as well?
Sure, absolutely.
For the application process in UCD, you can apply directly through the online application system. I think each university has its own system here in Ireland, but you may also apply for UCD. We have our global office in New Delhi, so you can utilize our official agents that are through our UCD global office there. And now also the students for undergraduate can apply to UCD via Common App portal. And I'll go now to the question about the scholarships. So if you think that the average of tuition fees for the STEM courses in UCD is between 20 to 26,000 euros in Ireland, UCD offers a number of scholarships actually, and we have partial international scholarships, and they're ranging from 3,000 to 5,000 euros. And we have a few departmental scholarships as well, and they're ranging up to 10,000 euros. So that depends on the subject you will apply, on the major you will apply to. We have also some premium scholarships to students like the Global Excellence and the Vivi Giri Scholarship, and they're ranging between 50 and 100% of the tuition fees. So I've posted in the answer here the scholarships website for UCD, if you want to have a look for more information. And as I said, always contact us if you have any queries. Even on the issue for the applications, you can apply for more than one program. So you can apply to multiple programs in UCD. And let us know if you need any help with that too.
Go ahead, Nasa. Any more questions? Anything to add about scholarships?
Yeah, I think I might have addressed it earlier again, but I'll go again if you want. So yeah, we're up to 25% for our programs in STEM. So that's roughly around kind of, you know, if you want a ballpark figure, it's about 5,000, and our fees are roughly around 23,000. That's just particularly the STEM field. I can send you a general link. So if you're interested in the arts and humanities or business and law, there's slightly different scholarships available. And I suppose, yeah, it's very straightforward. All the information will be on that link. But again, ask any questions, you're more than welcome.
Okay. Ramanpreet?
So yeah, our fee structure is quite lower than the other institutes which are over here. Our fee structure is around 10,250 euros a year, and out of which we offer around 1,000 to 2,000 euros scholarships, depending on the grades achieved by the student in their previous, like in their 12th standards. So we offer these scholarships according to that grades only.
Thank you.
There is no separate application for them. If the grades are actually qualifying for the scholarships, we give them.
Thank you so much. So there's a specific question for NASA about a marine biology course. So if you want to shed some light on that.
Yeah, that's actually a handy question for me. My background actually is geology and marine geology. So I actually studied the biological, environmental and earth science degree here in UCC. And there's an amazing option to do environmental biology and ecology. And some of the main modules in that are marine biology. We've an amazing marine research institute centered out of UCC. So the MARI and the ERI are centered down here. And there's different, I suppose, amazing facilities available to do research as well within your degree in this area if you're really interested. So we have a lot of tradition in teaching marine biology, and we also have a marine biology master's as well.
Super, thank you so much for that, Nasa. I think we're going to have time for one more question, and I'm going to revolve that around placements, because there's been a couple of questions around that. Can you please talk a little bit about placements after students finish their degrees, and specifically if you can address it for international students? So Andrew, why don't you go ahead?
So some degrees have an integrated placement activity. So that includes all engineering degrees. And I think it's actually a requirement of engineering degrees in Ireland. So an engineering degree in any university will have an integrated placement. So in our university, it's at least 7 months for engineering. For computer science and IT, it's the same. They have an integrated placement in that degree. My own biotechnology degree and the biopharmaceutical chemistry degree at NUI Galway also have placements integrated in those. With other degrees, it's variable. Perhaps they have opportunities for this on a selective basis. So you need to look at the individual programs to find out the structure of this, because some degrees have them as an automatic obligation, and other degrees it's an option.
Okay, perfect. Professor Eleni?
Yes, we have internships and professional experience. So within your major, for example, in science and computer science, we have a dedicated placement for 3 months for third-year students. And we also have industry placement, which is subject dependent, of 5 to 6 months. Now, this is available in most degrees, but all placements are competitive, and some are in academic environments or field trips that form part of the course. When it comes to internships, they are competitive, and the students have to go through a rigorous process of interviews. But we have the career department where they're actually preparing the student for the letter of intent, for the application, for the CV, and the interview process. So it's a learning process for the students, and it's actually brilliant. For actuarial and financial studies, we have a 6-month professional placement built into the program. And just to give you an idea of companies that are included in our portfolio, we have Intel, Amazon, Salesforce, Irish Life, Allianz, Ericsson, Google, Citibank, MasterCard, Deloitte, Pfizer, and many, many more. Now, this is within the major. In terms of employment post-degree graduation, since 2018, we are the #1 for employability institution in Ireland, and certain degrees have reached the 100% employability. If you need more information, I can provide that too.
Thank you so much for that, Professor Eleni. And Nasa, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I know we're a bit caught on time. So yeah, we're very similar, I suppose, in that there's certain programs that have placements, 6-month placements or 9-month placements with amazing multinational companies. So the likes of Pfizer, Eli Lilly. So also in the food science and nutritional science area, the likes of PepsiCo and Danone, with great placements there. And one thing as well that I just want to touch on, which I really was a great use to me when I was in university, was the career services. So there's a whole career services team who help you get your placement, but also prepare you for the workforce as well. And it's a very important piece that they help you write your CV. They have this really cool kind of new artificial intelligence tool that kind of prepares you for your interviews, how your body language is, how you're reacting to questions, and how you come across virtually. And there's also, they run a lot of virtual fairs where you get to talk to the multinational employers I know Andrew and Alini have discussed many of the employers that are here today. So it's a great opportunity to kind of get involved with the career service as well. So you're ready for, I suppose, you know, the life after university as well. Okay. Thanks, Namisha.
Thank you so much for that, Nasa. Ramanpreet, anything to add before we end our session?
So our process is most of the similar to as NASA has said. We have a career cell department. The whole team is actually taking care of every queries being given by the students. Like they are also preparing them for the interviews. They are also helping them to prepare their CVs, and they are helping them to get the jobs inside the island. Last year we recorded at 98% employability ratio with us, so which is quite higher outside of Dublin. Yes, so it is quite similar to the UCC process.
Thank you so much for that, Ramanpreet, and thank you so much for all the panelists for your time and your energy this afternoon. I think you've provided a significant amount of information about studying STEM subjects in Ireland at the undergrad level. Of course, this video will be available on YouTube on the Red Pen channel, so please feel free to access it. I shared our panelists' email address, and they're welcome for you all to get in touch with them. Here's some more information about Red Pen and Enterprise Ireland. And stay tuned for later this afternoon. I think in another half hour, we'll be starting, I will be starting another panel with other panelists where we'll be focusing on studying non-STEM subjects in Ireland. So thank you all for your time. And
Namita, can I quickly jump
yes.
in,
yes.
addressing two questions? You mentioned scholarships. So just also want to put it out there that the government of Ireland actually offers a scholarship which includes a full fee waiver for 1 year of study and a stipend for living expenses as well. So just to let students know that. And another thing, I saw a parent that was sort of concerned about, COVID, because of COVID, things are not opening up and you can't go to Ireland. But just to say that short-term visa processing has started for Indians who wish to go to Ireland. So that is an option now. And Ireland is doing really amazingly with vaccinations, and things are opening up this month. So yeah, just to keep that in mind as well. Thank you again. And sorry, Namita, you can continue now.
Thank you so much, Anam, for adding that. So, again, there's lots of scholarship opportunities, and Anam has said that besides the universities themselves, there are other bodies that you can look at. I think we can keep going. There's questions that are continuously coming in the chat, but I respect the time of my panelists and my colleagues here. So thank you all for joining, and thank you for the prospective applicants for joining. And like I said, feel free to get in touch with any of us. Have a good rest of the afternoon, and see you in half an hour if you're interested to learn about studying in Ireland non-STEM subjects. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Rita. Thanks,
Thank
Anam.
you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.